Hey everyone, so as promised, I'm going to be giving you a little Zoom demo. The issue is that I don't have access to all of the Zooms that are available at the school. At the school you have access to a Zoom H1, a Zoom H2, a Zoom H2N, a Zoom H4N, and a Zoom H5. They all have very similar functionalities in general, but obviously their interfaces and things change. And actually, I only have access to Zoom H4, which is my own, and this came right before the Zoom H4N. So what I'm going to show you, it might be a bit different than what you actually hold in your hands when you're recording, but the essential functionality is the same. They're just in different housings, and I'll go over how this one works, essentially what all the inputs mean, and how you can change the quality settings. I think that's the most important thing, and how to start recording, because the way you record with the Zooms is the same regardless of the Zoom. So Zooms operate with SD cards. There should be an SD card in the one that you rent from the school, but you need to record on an SD card. There's no internal memory on the Zooms that you have access to. And depending on the Zoom that you have, your SD card slot may be in different places. Mine is right where the batteries go, right here. I believe the H4N is similar, the H5 is different, but just look around. There should be a symbol that tells you where the SD slot is, and it should just say SD. So search for that, and that's where you put in your SD card, and that will allow you to start recording. All of your Zooms should have an on button, usually on the side. Mine is right here. So we'll go through these different inputs and what they mean. So here I have my on and off switch. Phones is for headphones. So if I want to plug in headphones and monitor the audio that I'm recording, I need to plug into the phones, and then there's a little dial here that changes the headphones level. So if you're not hearing anything, check to see that your dial is not all the way down and raise that level. Your line here is your line in. So that is if you have an external microphone. If you're using the Rode microphone, that it has a 1/8 inch jack, you would plug it in here, and then you would go into your menu and choose the proper input for an external microphone. So that's where you would plug in an 1/8 inch external microphone. This is a USB because you could transfer files via USB if you want, and you could also use it as a USB microphone, but we're not going to use that or need that because you can plug your SD cards directly into your computers. If you can't, then you might need a USB cable to hook up to your Zoom and then transfer your files that way. Before we actually turn it on, Zooms, the Zoom H4N and the Zoom H5 that you have access to, and also the Zoom H4, has these other inputs. This is for microphones that work with XLR. XLR is a different input. It's much bigger and higher quality than 1/8 inch. Like 1/8 inch is a headphone jack, right? But it's an 1/8 of an inch in size. And this also has 1/4 inch. 1/4 inch would fit right in this hole here in the middle. And a 1/4 inch jack would be for another type of microphone, or if you want to record a keyboard or a synthesizer or a guitar, you would plug it in to the 1/4 inch jack. They're the same jack, but the XLR goes around and the 1/4 inch goes in the middle. And this is just for your power cable if you have one. Not all, I'm not sure if they come with power cables, but most Zooms, if not all of them, work on batteries, and the battery life is pretty good on these. Depending on the Zoom you have, you may have this side as well, which has all of your input selects. Not your input selects, sorry, the gain and the levels for your inputs. So here you see input 1, input 2, and mic. Input 1 is here. This is input 1. As you can see, it says input 1 there. Everything should be labeled. You have input 2. And then mic is the onboard microphones that are right here. These are your onboard microphones. This is what you want to be pointing towards the sound that you're recording. Generally, you want to not hold it, but place it upright. Sometimes you can place it like this as well. They're omnidirectional, right? So they're recording in a circular pattern. So this is where you change the levels. So if you want it to be more sensitive, you would put it all the way to the right, and it should say LMH, so for low, medium, and high. And you'll be able to see when the zoom is on, you'll be able to see how sensitive your microphone is, and you'll see the levels kind of rising and falling. So we're going to keep it, the mic, because we're going to be using these onboard mics. We're going to keep it at M. We're going to keep it at medium. Now this is your select and scrolling knob. So this allows you to move through the menus, and if you click it down, it allows you to select things in your menus. So let's go ahead and turn this on. Your on button may be somewhere else, but just search for it. Search for your on and off button. So I'm going to turn this on. As you see, it's going to power on. Zoom. And there we go. So we have the interface here. So what does this all mean? We looked at images of it. So you have your levels. You have your input select, you have your file name at the top. They're usually automatically named like STE00 something. You can change your file names, but I tend to just record and then change my file names later when I'm going through the audio, because I'm going to listen to them anyways. I'm going to re-listen to them. So I just go through it and rename it kind of manually on the computer afterwards as I'm transferring my files and re-listening to them. Okay, so what do we have here? Here we have the quality select settings. On this one, they're over here, and I believe it's the same on the Zoom H4s and the H5s. So here I can choose to record at 96 kilohertz, 48 kilohertz, 44.1 kilohertz, or MP3, which is lower quality. So remember, for our assignment, I want to select 48 kilohertz. Your interfaces are probably different, and you may need to go into your menus to change these settings. And I'll do that on mine. But again, it's going to be weird to follow along because we're using different Zooms because I don't have access to the school right now, and I haven't left my house in a very long time. But so I would recommend, if you're having trouble, going online and finding some tutorials for your specific Zoom, since there's so many different kinds, the ones that you have, finding a tutorial for your specific one would be best. But once you know one, you can kind of get by using all of them, really. Okay, so for this one, so for this Zoom, if I want to go to the menu, I click this menu button right here. So let's just go back. Let's get out of the menu. I click the menu button, and there I go to a little menu. Now, if I want to get out of the menu, all I have to do is press the menu button again, and I leave the menu. Because this isn't my select button, and this isn't my navigation button. My select button and navigation button is on the side here, and that should be the same on all of the Zooms. So here, I'll go to the menu. Oops, I accidentally clicked the input menu. So I'll go to the menu, and you see if I use the scroll wheel, I will start scrolling through the menu. It's not that big of a menu. It's pretty small. So what do I see here? I see File. If I click on File, here, let's get out of the menu. Here. So if I click on File, this is where I could actually rename the file, but it's pretty tedious to name each file using the scroll wheel, and that's why I do it afterwards, because I can just do it with my keyboard. So if I click File, you see I go to Rename, I see Delete, and I see Size. None of that is really super necessary. I would just record and then name your files after. Just at least for this assignment. Maybe if you had a much more extensive sound recording thing where you're recording hundreds and hundreds of sounds, you want to be more organized while you're recording. But let's just forego that for now. Now if I go down to Mode, you want to make sure that you are in stereo recording mode and not 4-track. 4-track means you're recording through all of the inputs, so you're recording this input, and these two. So you want to just make sure you're in stereo, so all of your audio is going into a stereo mix. So stereo means there's two tracks, left and right. Mono means there's one and it's just center, so you have stereos left and right. 4-track means you have 4 different tracks, and then you have 5.1, which is surround, and then you have things like 7.1. But stereo means you have a left and a right track, right? With your headphones, you have your right and your left. So make sure you select the stereo recording, and let's go down to the next one. Your menus may look a bit different, but again, I'm just showing you this one just so you have an idea of how the interfaces work. Then you have your recording format. And this is where you could actually change your recording format in the menu. And so you would want to find this, this section of the menu in your own recording devices, which is the recording format. And here, so you want to make sure, I have it already set up as a WAV, 24, and 48. So if I were to click on WAV, like that, I could then select different formats, right? So I have MP3, but I would actually just like it to be WAV. So let's just keep it at WAV, and let's go to the sample rate, which is 48 right now. And here I could change it, and as you see, as I scroll through, the green light is moving. So I could just do that by clicking this, these buttons here, but you could also do it in the menu. So let's keep it at 48. And now let's go to, sorry, I'm like doing it, it's weird to do it without looking. And then you go to the bit rate, and if I click bits and I scroll, I could change it to, you see, to 16. If I change it, I go up to 24. So make sure it's at 24. And you're always using your scroll wheel, moving it up and down, and then clicking down to select. Okay. So that's how you change your settings, and this is the most important thing for recording. If this is all you learn from this and how to find this section and how to change your recording settings, if that's all you learn from this, then that's great. So you press menu to get out of the menu. And the rest on here is not super important. It's really the recording format that I'd like you to focus on. So I'm going to press menu and get back to the main recording screen. So another important part is to go to your input menu. So here, to get to the input menu, as you see it right there, I just press this knob down, and now I go to this new menu. It kind of looks like the recording format menu, but it's not the same. And this is where you change the inputs. So as you see, I have it set on mic, and that means I have it set to the onboard microphones. If I were to click this and change it, you see I just gotta scroll up. You see, if I scroll up, you see it's at mic. If I scroll up, it says in 1 and 2. So that means I would be recording through the input 1 and 2 down here and not from the microphones. So if you're not getting any audio signal through it, you might want to check your input menu and that it's not set to your input 1 and 2, and it's set to your onboard microphones, because this is what we're going to be using, because I don't have an external microphone to be using. So make sure it's set to mic. So you see, is it at 1 and 2 now? So we're at input 1 and 2, and you go down to mic. There you go. Select, you click down, and now we're at mic. The levels, again, you can be a bit more precise with your levels through this menu, but you can also just change it to, I would recommend just changing the knobs on the sides. So we won't go too deep into that. Phantom power is for if you have an external microphone set up. We won't be going, again, too deep into that either. Your monitor, now this is important. If you want to be listening to your audio while you are recording, then you need to put your monitor on. If you're not hearing anything through your headphones, but you see the levels going up and down, that's because your monitoring is off. You have to monitor your audio as you're recording it. So you want to make sure monitoring is on, and you get this through the input menu. Okay. The rest is not so important in here. So it's monitoring and your inputs. You want to make sure you're using your onboard microphones, which is mic, which is the first one, and then go check to see if your monitoring is on, because it's important for you to be listening as you're recording. Okay, so let's get out of this menu, and let's say I'm ready to start recording. So as you see, I changed, I put monitoring on, and now I can see the levels going up and down. So you see it's going up as I'm talking. If you're recording an ambience inside, you may want to raise your levels, right? So, and you raise your levels on the side here for your mic. If I were to raise my mic level all the way up, as you can see, the levels are now, they're peaking. They're very, very high. So for my voice, since I'm pretty close to the microphone, you would probably want it at medium or even low, depending on how loud the person or I am talking is talking. So I have it at low right now, but I prefer to generally have it at medium. Okay, so let's say we're all ready and we're ready to record. What do we do? So your record button should look like this on your microphones, on your Zooms. The other ones, I know the Zoom H2 and the Zoom H2N, the record buttons look different, but the record button always has a little red circle in the middle. So you're always looking for that little red circle. That's the most important thing. So if I click the little red circle, as you see, the red light is blinking. This means it's armed to record. It's not ready to record, it's armed. So it's not recording right now. And how do I know that? Well, if you look on the screen, you'll see those zeros at the top, which is your time code. They're not moving. It's not moving through time. It's not recording anything. It's paused right now. But what arming it does is it allows you to see the levels. If you had your monitoring off, the levels wouldn't be generally going up at all times. And then you would arm it to record. You could check your levels, check to see that you're not peaking. And if it's flashing, it means you're not recording yet. So you have to press it a second time to actually start recording. And so as you see, the numbers are climbing, the time is climbing, the red light is solid. That means we are recording now. So everything I'm saying is being recorded on the microphone. Now how do I stop recording? Well, I just press the record button again and it goes off. And there we go, it says stop on the screen. And we're ready to record again if we want. And each time you press record, it will create a new file. So it's not adding to the previous file. You are always creating a new file every time you stop recording. And as you see, the name of the file should be STE008 now. There's other things on this SD card. But so now we're ready to record again. Press, and now I'm recording. So it's fairly simple to record. You press the record button twice. You press it once to arm it, another time to actually start recording, and then you press it again to stop. And that's pretty much it for the Zoom. And all these Zooms, their functionality of their actual recording process is similar. It's their menu interfaces and their actual physical interfaces that differ. So I would recommend, if you're having trouble following along and kind of discovering your own Zoom, definitely find a tutorial dedicated to your own Zoom. It's just, unfortunately, I don't have them all around me right now. So this is all I was able to show you. But once you master one, then you kind of understand how they all work and you're able to explore them on your own, and then the learning curve isn't as hard. So I hope this was somewhat helpful, and I'll hopefully compile a few tutorials for the other Zooms for you as well. So have a great one, and good luck using your Zooms.